Named must your fears be, before banish it you can. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to another Coffee Time with John. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. It is the day after you wonderful people actually helped me get enough money to order that new computer, which will be here this week sometime. But I wanted to jump on and get these videos done so that I can focus on live streams once that gets in here, because it'll be a while for me to get that all set up. So today's video, as the intro said, was about that Yoda quote, "Named must your fears be, before banish it you can." I got an email from somebody, and a comment from somebody. It went like this: "Will you explain more about what you said about your fears must be named? I've dealt with sickness that has brought me near death and afterlife experience many times over, and I have been so afraid of losing those I love, especially my children. And I have children that are so afraid of losing me. It feels like a terrible pattern that keeps repeating itself." Yes, it is absolutely true. So this cycle that you're talking about is a subconscious fear. I mean, you're both thinking as if fear is out of control, out of your control. And all fears are based upon some future event that may or may not happen, with you focused on a negative outcome. All fears are determined by the negative outcome that you are putting into your present moment. You are believing in a negative outcome or focusing on a negative outcome. You know, you're afraid of dying. They're afraid of having you die. You're afraid of losing them. And so you're literally, what is that fear? What is the fear? Can you define the fear? The fear is this: you are a representation of love for them. They are a representation of love for you. Your fear is that you are going to lose that love, right? So you're going to lose that affection, that love, that affection, right? Now, here's the reality of it is to name that fear, and it's also naming the belief, because the beliefs themselves are what are creating. And so your fear is literally a belief, and it's a negatively focused belief. So you've got to realize what it is you're saying. So when I say named must your fears be, I mean, you can sit in fear all day long and be, I am afraid, I am afraid, I am afraid, and God's name is I am, and God says, whatever you ask in my name is granted. So you're asking God for fear. You're asking God to be afraid. And so God's going to lovingly let you sit in fear, right? Because God doesn't dole out gifts. God gives you what you believe, period. God is a symbiotic partner in creation. And so when people have a hard time realizing that they themselves are the creator of the experience. And so those subconscious beliefs, those beliefs that things are so terrible, things are so hard, right, are creating as well. Now let's talk about, crossing over. You say in this you've had afterlife experience many times over. So if you've had an afterlife experience that it is unconditionally loving. It is pure love at its highest form, right? Fear is the opposite. Fear is the illusion of there not being love. And the reason we're here in this physical plane is to experience not that separation, that dichotomy. Because if we never experienced our separation, we would never experience what love truly is, the pure essence of love. And so when you look at what you're saying here, the fear that you are literally needing to name is the fear of not having love, the fear of not experiencing love. But the fear itself, you're afraid of losing your children. They're afraid of losing you, right? So what are you afraid of losing? You're afraid of losing love, right? But these are all physical world beliefs. But on the other side, as you know, because you've crossed over, it's pure love without fear. So you never actually lose love. Love is always there. It's the one constant. But the interesting thing is that when we are in the physical plane, we are down in the valley so low, right? We're down in the valley of the shadow of death. We're down here where there's a shadow, there's an illusion, there's a shadow. That shadow, that illusion of death is something that gets in our minds, in our heads, right? But if we can name the fact that what we're actually afraid of isn't death, it's the fear of not having love. And then we say, okay, well, if I'm afraid of not having love, and love is always constant, because I know my body is impermanent, because I've left my body, I've gone to the other side, and I've experienced the pure love of God. So in that regard, love is always a constant, and the body is the impermanence. The physical plane is the impermanence. So you experience these emotions here in the physical, but when you crossed over, you didn't leave your children. Your children were still around, because they're all they are is in the physical body themselves. They're going to cross over too, right? It's like going on vacation for them, right? The physical world is literally like scuba diving. You come down into this world, you experience it. Every 16 hours, you go back to the other side because you fall asleep, right? Every 16 hours, you go into a different state of consciousness because you can't stay in the physical for the whole time, right? You have to name the fears. You have to start realizing what it is you're believing. You have to start thinking about what it is you're believing and how it equates to the purpose of being here. And the purpose of being here is to experience the separation from love. But if you get so invested in the fear rather than the reason, you will sit there and struggle and struggle and struggle in the fear, because I am, where does it say it right here? I have been so afraid of those I love, of losing those I love, and I have children that are so afraid of losing me. That's both you and your children saying, I am afraid of losing the other. I am, God's name, afraid of losing the other. Name the fear. You're afraid of it because you're afraid of losing their love, and their love is never gone. But you cannot address anything in your life unless you realize what it is you're truly thinking about it. Fear is an emotional state based upon a negative outcome that may or may not happen. Fear is just negatively focused on certainty. Release the fear and love the people around you. And know that when you cross over or they cross over, that you are going to be together, and you who crosses over is going to be able to see them all the time. And you're going to be unhindered by any physical defects or any physical health issues. Because when you leave the body, the health issues stay behind. And so what I mean by named must the fears be, fear is just the emotional state. But the root cause of that fear has to be named for you to address it. And that's what that means. You guys have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.